when I went to the Naval Academy, then got out of the Navy, did 5 years in the Navy, got out, and I said, I want to get as far away from the military as I possibly can. For example, the bouncy house guy over there, that was like the idea I was having was, I want nothing to do with the military. My dad had been in the military, my whole family, everybody was all military, and I went to AT&T and I sold phone systems on K Street in Washington, D.C. for 2 years. And when you got back from training, they hooked you up with a guy who's now my age, so he was probably in his 50s, and I was 25, and I was like, okay, what are we going to do? I'll meet you here tomorrow at 4:30. I was like, wow, 4:30? That's kind of, and I literally said this out loud, because I was in my 20s, and we don't know anything really when we're in our 20s yet. And I said, 4:30 in the afternoon, are we going to have beers? And he said, no, mister, we're going to meet at 4:30 a.m. We're going to hang door tags on every door in every building, every law firm, every lobbying firm, you name it. If it's got a door on it, we're hanging a door tag. Because that way we beat the concierge, the guard is still asleep, the first person's in is the senior law partner or the office manager, and that's our customer. So we're going to hit that door, and we're going to hit every floor. And so I did that for about 1.5 years, and I figured out that is what I wanted to do the rest of my life. So my entry into the small business world of government contracting happened right around 9/11. A Naval Academy classmate called me up and said, hey, you want to be employee number 3? We're starting a little company. We're going to do something from software from Microsoft. It's in its beta. The code word is Tahoe. And that Tahoe became Microsoft SharePoint, if anybody's heard of SharePoint before. So we started implementing SharePoint in 2002 and did that until 2006, and I was head of business development there, and then went to Applied Knowledge Group and was their COO, and the CEO was one of the Iran hostages back in '79. Great guy, Mike Howland. He has like 42 pins in his back because of all the beatings and stuff that he took over there. So family businesses. I'm sorry, somebody's going to do a family business, and more power to you, family businesses. They're trouble, okay. If you want to grow and make something of a legacy, to me, it's hard to do with family. So I am the co-founder with another guy who's a retired Marine, Mike McCormick of AMSG. We started with 3 or 4 employees, and we just went over 50 employees a couple months ago. A big Army contract with the Training and Doctrine Command helped us do that, and we have locations around the country because of that contract now. At each turn, and I asked about the transitions. So I made my transition out of the Navy. It was terrifying. And then I transitioned to all these different companies. So you all should see this. You're all smart people. Every couple of years, you're going to be transitioning the rest of your life. You're always going to be transitioning. So guess what Mike did to me a couple months ago? He calls me up right before Thanksgiving. He goes, Jim, I'm going to be 68 in March. And this Marine buddy of mine sat down with me and he said, hey Mike, there's something called the go-go, the so-so, and the no-no. In the 60s, in your 60s, you should be doing go-go. You should travel, you should see the world, you and your spouse, you and your partner, whatever you're doing. You should be out there. He said, I haven't done any of that. I've been working 6 days a week. Now I'm going to be 68. In your 70s, you start having medical issues. You could have cancer, whatever kicks in, and you're going to start slowing down. And then in your 80s, it's like, bring the grandkids to me. So this is my business partner talking to me. So I know what's coming next when your business partner says that to you. He's stepping away. He wants me to buy him out. He wants to move on. He wants me to be the sole owner, which terrifying was the initial word. He's always been like my big brother. He's about 15 years older. He's always been the guy that I could count on, on that Saturday afternoon when we had to write a government proposal. So, transition, once again, transitioning to another role in the company, that kind of thing. But there are several different disadvantaged business categories where you can compete against a smaller population of companies. And the 8A program for minorities is one where they actually give you sole source contracts, okay? We, AMSG, are a service-disabled veteran-owned small business, SDVOSB. We call sole source contracts to SDVOSBs a unicorn. Like, we've heard that they exist, but we've never actually seen one, right? So with 8As, they exist, they're real. We are a sub right now to a company on a Marine Corps project. Don't think you're going to get something as you go through this transition from every person you meet, like an action, some sort of to-do list, but just meet them, take it in, and then a year from now, it might be, hey, I remembered you. I remembered that we met, and shoot them an email, send them a text or something and say, I just want to say hello. I'm going through this issue right now. Could you talk to me about it, or would you take a minute? So seriously, we read this book, Good to Great. There's a chapter in there. You all should read this book, Good to Great. Good to Great. I forget the author's name right now. There's a chapter in the book called The Hedgehog Theory. So if you're the bouncy house company, you're saying the hedgehog theory is be good at one thing and just kick it in the ass. Just do it really well. Do it again and again and again. And people will come to you looking for that. So Mike and I tried to do that. And about a year later, we were almost out of business. I was awake at 4:30 every morning, 3 a.m. every morning, 2:30 every morning. We're not going to make payroll. We're not going to... Jim, we only have 6 employees. How can we don't have enough cash. We don't have enough customers. I mean, we used to have that, the 3 a.m. phone calls. And then we said, there's a chapter 7 or 8, and it was be prepared to pivot. And I am not making this story up. The very next day, the Department of Homeland Security calls and says, hey, we saw your website. Would you bid on the construction of the new DHS headquarters at St. Elizabeth's? And I go, okay, we can pivot, but we don't know anything about construction. And they said, no, that's not. We want you to be the quality assurance guys that go around and beat up on the big General Dynamics Corporation when they do the IT installation. And we go, okay, we can do that. We like to kick big companies that always are kicking us down and everything. So we got that contract as a prime, and that kind of set us on our course, because once you get one prime in the government contracting space, if you know what you're doing and you've learned some things, which you all will, once I convince you all to become government contractors. Because here's why. Why did I go back to government contracting, really, when I left AT&T? Because the thing that was missing for me, there's a nonprofit out there called The Mission Continues. And I just love that phrase, The Mission Continues. Got the Wounded Warrior Project here. You got these organizations, these nonprofits that are saying, I took the uniform off, but I still need to serve. I'm not serving anymore. Selling phone systems was not serving in my book. It wasn't. So getting back into government contracting, we touch so many different organizations now, whether it's the Army, the Department of Homeland Security, the VA, the IRS. We have a contract with the IRS. So, you're touching a lot of different government organizations, but it's that whole idea that I'm part of something bigger than myself. Okay. So we support the VA, the Marine Corps, the Army, the Department of Defense Health Agency. We just won that contract. When you win a government contract, nowadays it's a lot of companies that bid on it, but they lose, are protesting the contract because they have a chance of getting it overturned. So that one is currently under protest right now. And guess what? The company that protested it's their first time ever bidding on a contract with the Defense Health Agency. And the contracting officer and the customer have both whispered in each of our ears at AMSG, are these people psychotic? Do they think they're ever going to get a contract with the DHA? They just protested the first one they lost. Because sometimes you want to bid on a job, not that you think you can win, but because you're marketing to put your name out there. Exactly. So don't put your name out there and then turn around and protest when you win. Right. So anyway, maybe they'll learn. I don't know. Marine Corps, let's see, Federal Trade Commission, Treasury, and then opportunistic. We were actually down in Orlando one time for a conference, and we walked into a meeting about state and local opportunities. How you can do work there. And there was a lady there in the back of the room, and we were Mike and I were the last 2 to leave that room. That's another thing. Go show up early, unlike what I did today. And stay late. Things happen. You'd be surprised how things happen. We stayed late. She walked up, she goes, I noticed you guys are still here. What do you do? We told her what we did. She said, I want to put you on contract. And she did. Quite honestly, we like to see that at our company. We like to see veterans that go out and they kind of learn the government contracting industry a little bit from the larger business for a couple of years, like 2. And they put you through. Booz Allen has some amazing training programs. I went through. You go through this whole consultant training 101. They have senior partners and other companies come in and they role play with you.